Hello everybody, welcome to another Rick's Picks. Today I'm going to be doing my review of the G.I.Joe Classified figure Darklon by Hasbro. Now, I always liked the Iron Grenadiers. I liked all the figures for them. This dude I always thought was particularly cool. I just liked the overall look to this guy. He looked really menacing. But right off the cuff, I'll tell you one of the disappointing things about this figure, just as is I really would have wished that they would have took the time and gave him like his motorbike. I forgot what it was, but something really cool. It was like a gold and black motorbike. It opened up from the front. You could put them in and it had side cannons and stuff. So that off the cuff is a disappointment with this figure. I would have really have liked to have seen him come with that. So with that being said, first thing I want to mention is I do have a membership program. So for $2 a month, you get a lot of cool stuff like blooper wheels, behind the scenes, and badges and all sorts of other neat stuff. I would ask that you check that out. And without any further ado, roll that intro. So here he is in packaging. You have your standard G.I. Joe Classified packaging here. So you have Cobra, Darklon, the Iron Grenadiers, G.I. Joe Classified, your Choking Hazard, Age Restriction, and Hasbro. Come around here. All right. You get some cool artwork of him. I do like that. That looks pretty wicked. G.I. Joe and his number. Come around here. You get a cool picture of the figure, some of his extra play features, and your legal underneath. Come to this side here. You got his stats, your QR code, his number, G.I. Joe. All right. Come here. You got the Cobra logo and his number. And underneath you got your legal and SKU. So, all that being said, let's open him up and see what he's about. So here he is out of packaging. So far, I like the profile look to him. It looks pretty cool. So now we're going to get into his points of articulation. So the head does move. I do like that. Get a shoulder joint here with a swivel, an elbow joint, and you do get a wrist joint. All right. Get this other arm up. You have a joint right here underneath the ribs and a swivel here at the hips. All right, you get a thigh joint with a swivel. You get a knee joint. All right, you get a swivel at the top of the boot. And last but not least, you get your ankle joint. So everything seems to work pretty well on this figure. I don't have any issues with any of his joints and how any of that moves. All right. Eventually, the head in place. All right. So now let's take a look at his finer details. So the first thing we're going to look at is the head. I love the head sculpt to him. I think that looks really cool. I love the overall design to it. I like these reptilian style eyes that he has. Those look really cool. Come around to the side and you can see that this is actually a mask. His head is almost like a gray reptile looking skin. All right. Come around here. You can see the front again. You can see this side and the eyes and stuff. I love the eyes to him. The eyes look really cool. Really, really creepy. I do like that a lot. All right. And now we can start getting into the body. So he has this harness piece here that doesn't restrict the movement very much. A little bit, but not a whole lot. You got the green upper body clothing with the black camo stripes. Then you get the odd sort of coloring for his pants. I know some people are a little bit critical about that, but that's basically how the original figure was. So, I kind of have a love-hate for that. Then you get down to his boots and you get this weird ammo thing on the side there. It almost has that like old school Marvel / Image Comics look, because a lot of the artists back then in those two did, like, I know McFarlane was always like that with Spawn, where he had like goofy things like that on the lane. Like also Live Phil also did a lot of that, and a whole bunch of pouches. So it kind of has that like 90s comic book feel to it with that leg piece, even though it's not practical at all. All right, come around to this side here. You can see the armor for the shoulder, more of the camo. Better look at, the boot ammo. Come around to the back. You got a spot here for his pistol. You can see more of his gray skin. Come here. There you have the holster for his dagger. And back around to the front. So overall, I do like the overall look to him. I think he's a really cool looking figure. Okay, so now let's start going through all his accessories. So first off, he comes with an alternate head. And it's some sort of like chrome metal looking helmet. All right. And as you can see, this is also a strapped on piece, because you can see the back of his head. I think it would have been cool if they would have actually came with a head with him without the mask, because I'm really curious to see what his actual face looks like. I mean, it's obviously this gray reptilian skin, and he has those, reptile eyes. So I would have really liked to have seen something that actually showed his actual face. I mean, this looks cool, but for some reason, to me, it doesn't fit the character. And that's just my own personal, thoughts on it. All right. Next, he has his a dagger. All right. He also has a pistol. All right, a revolver. Now this doesn't have a hole in the front, so you can't add any kind of blast effects to it. He has his iconic gun. I know a lot of people don't like this gun. I always liked it. Even when I was a kid, I thought it looked really, really neat. It has a unique kind of flare look to it. Matter of fact, if you look here, there's a second trigger here. So that's probably what these grenade pieces fit in. It's probably a combination between machine gun slash grenade launcher. So I'm thinking that's actually where these grenades will go into. This would probably, if it was a real gun, it'd probably open up. You slide one of those grenades in there, and then it might fire out the middle. But now this does have holes for blast effects. So if you want to put a blast effect in the middle or any of these side ports, you can do that, which is pretty nice. All right. And he also has a sword. Kind of like how this sword looks. That looks pretty neat. I do feel like the paint job's a little rushed on it. Like if you look at the gem in the middle, you can see some of the black seeping out. And up here, you can see some of the red bleeding onto the claws. So I think the paint job could have been a little bit better on this, but overall, it's still a cool looking sword. And then last but not least, you have the sheath for the sword. I like the design for this. I like this leather wrap, and then you have all these engravings and neat little designs on there. So I think that looks pretty cool. So now let's see how all this stuff works with him. So let's swap heads. All right, so let's try this head on him. All right, that went on him very easily. No issues with that. All right. Let's see if we can keep him on the stand. There we go. All right, we're going to start with our smaller weapons first. So let's get the pistol going. All right. Boom, that fits pretty easily. No issues. Let's get the knife over on this side. All right. So the pistol and knife work with him. No issues with any of that. All right. So now the pistol goes on his spine here. I was never a big fan with the carry there. I was always afraid that, the gun would smack into my back or something. So I was never a big fan with this style carry. But it does fit in there. No issues. And then, whoop, dagger fits really nicely in there. So they also fit very well in their designated spots. Now, let's get into the sword. All right. That works into the hand pretty well. I wonder if you can actually get them to hold it with two hands. You can. All right. So you can definitely get a two-handed hold with this figure with no issues. I do like that. I like that a lot. All right. Spin them around this way. This will hook onto the back. All right. Take the sword out. And shoom. Right on in. All right. So the sword fits very well back there. No issues. Now, last but not least, his monstrosity of a gun. Like I said, some people don't like it. I actually think the thing looks cool. You know, in later years of G.I. Joe, I stopped looking for things to be practical with these guys, and just, if it looked cool, it looked cool, you know? Alright, so, alright, maybe this is meant to be on this side. What I'm running into an issue with is this cord on here. It's making it kind of hard to get the gun on them. Maybe it has to come in this way. Alright. Hold on a second. Okay, so I had to play around with the gun a little bit off screen just because, you know, it's a little tricky getting it in here. So let's bend the arm out this way. So what happens is this hose here makes it a little bit difficult to get the hand around it. But luckily, the fingers do move very easily. So you could just open up the fingers and then play with it and work with it. And eventually you will get it around that grip there. So the hose makes it a little bit difficult, but once you get it on, it's on fine. No issues. Now, a gun like this big, that's this big, obviously, we're going to have to try to do a two-handed hold with this, which I don't think it would be a major issue. You know, not like, there it goes. All right. So, boom. All right, if he'll stand for us, there we go. So, as you can see, boom. He holds that gun very easily. Actually, it looks really cool just like that. So everything works pretty well with him. Okay, so let's get into my final thoughts with him. So first off, all his joints move very well with him. I don't have any issues with any of his joints, okay? All his weapons fit pretty well with him. The gun, you do have to work the hands a little bit, but once you get it working there, it sits fine with him, no issues. And I do love the overall look to him. I think he's really cool looking. I love the overall look to this figure. So would I recommend him? Yes, I would. I really do like him. I think he does capture the look from the original Darklon figure. Now, I do have some issues with him. First off, you know, I really wish he would have came with his bike. I really wish that they would have did that. I mean, you have other small vehicles such as, you know, the Claw, the Trouble Bubbles, and so forth. So I don't see how it could have been that big of a problem to have given him his iconic bike. So that's one of my big pet peeves too. I do like the alternate head, but I don't. I think I would have rather preferred to have him have a head without the mask because I'm really curious to what the actual face would look like under here. Seeing how it has that gray reptilian skin and reptile eyes, so I'm really interested to know what the face is under there. So I would have liked to have had an alternate head with him without the helmet. So those are my pet peeves. Other than that, like I said, great figure. I would recommend them. So with all that being said, the first thing I want to do is give a shout out to Action Figure Geeks. They're a Reddit group that I'm part of. They're all things pops, action figures, TV, movies, and so forth. So go ahead and check out their description. Go ahead and check out their information and links in my description. And also check out my membership program. For $2 a month, you get a whole bunch of cool stuff like blooper reels, behind the scenes, and much more. And also check out my G.I. Joe playlist, plus hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So until the next one, late.